Don Monroe.
Yes.
Hi. Would you mind to mute yourself, please?
Sure, I'll do that.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Paint Branch Unitarian Universalist Church. We will all be muted as we listen to Just Before the Battle, Mother by George Frederick Root, a Civil War song, performed by our music director, David Chapman. Thank you, David. Well, good morning to all, and a special hello to any visitors with us this morning. I am Ebony Contreras, and I'm your worship associate for today. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm part of a team that works with service leaders and staff to craft and produce our worship services. We strive to be a welcoming congregation. We are from all over. Our families have come from different countries. Among us, we have a range of sexualities, a range of shapes and sizes, appearances, and identities. We have differing physical abilities. We have different theologies and philosophies. We've been waiting for you to join us here. Speaking of here, we acknowledge that the land where our church building stands is the ancestral home of the Piscataway people who settled this region thousands of years ago, extending from the Potomac River toward the Chesapeake Bay. Whatever brought you online this morning, we are glad that you're here. Please note that we are recording on Facebook Live and Zoom. Paint Branch also has a YouTube channel, and your subscription to that will unlock some additional features for us. So use the link in the chat if you want to subscribe. We also invite you to participate from your home in singing, sharing, and chalice sliding, and sharing joys and sorrows in the chat. All questions are also welcome in the chat too. If you want to know more about the 8th principle of Unitarian Universalism, which is an initiative that helps create an inclusive, beloved community, please attend the next DART meeting, that is Diversity and Anti-Racism Transformation Team, otherwise known as DART. And then finally, to get to know us better, please send your contact information to engagement@paintbranchuuc.org. And I'm also happy to share many announcements this week. We have a few. First, did you know that each Saturday at 4 p.m., we host a family worship session? This coming Saturday, we will have something called Books and Cooks, and we will be making dandelion cookies. All are welcome to join family worship. You can find the link to each family worship in the week's continuum. From the Diversity and Anti-Racism Transformation Team, they'd like you to know that the Central East region of the UUA is sponsoring the last Jubilee Anti-Racism Workshop of the church year. And this will be June 11th to June 13th. DART is again offering financial support for Paint Branchers who want to attend. Contact Carmelita Carter Sykes at cartercarmelita@aol.com and Ebony Contreras, myself, at etaras1@yahoo by Friday, May 21st, if you are requesting this support. You can also find this in the continuum as well. And we'll put the email links in the chat in a little bit. Also, the nominating committee is looking for one more person to serve on the Board of Trustees for a 3-year term. And this term starts in June. To suggest a candidate or indicate your own interest, please contact the nominating committee. And I'll cut and paste their emails in the chat as well. Another announcement, I told you we had a lot. Another announcement is that our flower communion service will be Sunday, June 13th at 10 a.m. So it's a very special service in our at Paint Branch. So our flower communion, Sunday, June 13th. Please join us, and you can participate by taking pictures or videos of you and or your family amid flowers and trees in your yard or neighborhood. You can also make flowers out of paper or other beautiful objects, or take a selfie with your creations. So start recording yourselves and send the photos or videos now before Tuesday, June 1st to worshipassociates@paintbranchuuc.org. Finally, the last announcement is that our next Paint Branch UUC Adult Faith Development class is next Saturday, May 15th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. In that class, we'll explore Unitarian Universalist views of prayer and learn 3 specific techniques for how to pray. So what's the difference between a prayer and a spell? What baggage may we be carrying about how to pray and why? At its core, we'll build a foundation for how to pray authentically in public and powerfully in private. To register, please see the link in the chat, which I'll put there momentarily. And then you can also view the full schedule of spring classes, again, which I'll put in the chat. We also have a Facebook page just for the Paint Branch Adult Faith Development Program. Whew, okay, that was a lot of announcements, which is wonderful. It's good to have a lot going on here. But before we move into worship, let's just review some brief Zoom skills. Make sure you can find the mute button. It looks like a microphone icon. And it's important that we're all muted. And you can find the bubble for your chat screen, which is in different places depending on what device that you're using. And you can read and scroll the chats by scrolling up and down on the side with your arrow. And again, just another reminder that we are recording on Facebook Live and Zoom. And so if you haven't already, I saw some of you have, but if you haven't already, please go ahead and put in the number of who's attending from your connection. What this does is it helps us to confirm how many people are attending each Sunday's service. Then at the end, when everything's said and done, you are invited to join us for a virtual coffee hour in breakout rooms. So at the end of service, you'll be invited to a specific breakout room, and we hope that you'll join us. And now, Reverend Karen Lee Scrivo, our affiliated community minister, will lead us in a call to worship.
Thank you, Ebony. So nice to be with you all, and so wonderful to have so many wonderful things going on. Why don't we take a few deep breaths as we transition into this time of worship and sharing. Thank you. I realized that I haven't preached on Mother's Day before. And I think part of it, besides chance, is that I've always felt that it's a complicated holiday. Um, for some people, it's a celebration. For other people, it may not be a holiday that they wish to celebrate, or it might bring back memories that are painful. So I just want to acknowledge that as we celebrate today, nurturers among us, regardless of whether they are called mothers, regardless of their gender, regardless of whether it is by birth or choice. To help us with this, I want to offer a call to worship by my colleague, the Reverend Lisa Bovey Kemper, who is a minister at the Greenville, South Carolina UU Fellowship. Her reading is called Circle of Care. In religious community, we share our joys and our triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In this circle of care, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts, the truth of human experience that dictates on any given day. We each come to the table with hearts in different places. It is especially so for this day. In this circle of care, we honor the truth that mothering is not and never will be quantified in one single descriptor. Mothering can be elusive or infuriating, fulfilling or confusing, commonplace or triumphant. It exists in the everyday experiences of each person. There is no human being that is not connected or disconnected from a mother. And so we honor the complexity of experience, writ large in flowered platitudes, but here in this space, laid bare, honoring the truth in each of our hearts. There is room for all in this circle. If you have carried a child or children, whether or not they came to be born, we see you. If you have fervently wished to do so, and the circumstances of fate made it impossible, we see you. If you love children we cannot see, whether because of death or estrangement, we see you. If you never wanted to be a mother, we see you. If you are happy to mother other people's children as an educator or auntie or a foster parent, we see you. If your mother hurt you physically or emotionally, we see you. If you had no mother at all, we see you. If your gender says you are not a mother, and yet you take on the role of nurturer, we see you. If you wonder whether your mothering has been enough, we see you. And if yours is a different truth altogether, we honor your unspoken story. There is room for all in this circle. May it be so today and always. And with that, we will, as our new custom seems to be, greet each other visually by going to gallery view so that we can see each other. If you feel comfortable, please start your video if you haven't already so that we can see and wave to each other. So good to be with you all and so great to see all of you.
All right, welcome back everyone from our waving at each other. In a moment, Jackie Walpole will light our chalice. She was a member of our community in the early 90s. She relocated for about 10 years and has returned to us these past 4 years. She's a nominating committee member and a member of the choir. Jackie Walpole will now light our chalice.
Thank you, Ebony, and good morning, Paint Branch. I grew up in Great Britain, and when I was a child, Mother's Day was called Mothering Sunday, which still falls on the fourth Sunday in Lent. And historically, Mothering Sunday included a celebration of 4 mothers: mothers of earthly homes, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mother Nature, and Mother Church. And on this Mother's Day, let's also celebrate our Mother Church, Paint Branch. And I'll light the chalice. Let's join together in saying the words of the unison chalice lighting, and the words are on your screen. We light the chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the Church of the open mind, the helping hands, the loving heart, and the radiant spirit. Encendamos este cáliz para celebrar el unitarismo universalismo. Esta es la iglesia de la mente abierta, de las manos amigas, del amor del corazón y del espíritu radiante.
Thank you, Jackie. Now we will listen to hymn number 1017, Building a New Way, performed by David Chapman, our music director, and sang by member Renee Katz.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way.
Good morning, my good people. I'm Chris McCann, your religious educator. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Nurturers Day. Whether you have nurtured people, animals, the earth, imaginary friends, an idea, a church, a religious education program, your own confusing heart, happy Nurturers Day to you. We give thanks to people of all ages and genders who do the work of tender care. The origin of this day is much more revolutionary than you might imagine. In 1870, Julia Ward Howe, a Unitarian, an abolitionist, a suffragette, and general advocate for social justice, wrote her appeal to womanhood throughout the world. This later became known as the Mothers Day Proclamation. She appealed to women across the world to gather in a day of mourning and protest, mourning the losses of war and protesting a system in which mothers' children were pitted against one another to the death. Learning about the origins of Mother's Day, it seems so strange, or maybe not so strange at all, that a revolutionary idea has been taken over by sentimentalism and consumption. It feels almost like it was done on purpose to tame the fierceness of the original idea, as if we could ever tame the ferocious side of nurture. Today, I hope we will recommit ourselves to this revolutionary nurture, that we will remember that there is no such thing as other people's children, and that it is all of our jobs to nurture fiercely what we love. And now, Ebony Contreras will share her reflection.
Thank you, Chris. Well, happy Mother's Day. Today's theme is Rise Up for Peace and Justice. During Reverend Karen Lee Scrivo's sermon, she'll share with us the Mother's Day Proclamation from 1870, written by Unitarian Juliet Ward Howe. And there's a part of this proclamation that stuck out to me, that resonated with me. It goes like this, and I quote, "Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience," end quote. For me, I see this as not just about our sons, of course, but our children in general, regardless of their sex. In any case, she's saying that as mothers, we will not tolerate the wider world reteaching or socializing our children to unlearn what we taught our children ourselves. We will not sit passively by while the world tries to teach our children that the American dream is to be a billionaire while others starve. We know as mothers that the real dream is a world where there is enough for everyone, all people have dignity, their needs met, and those with more than enough have generous hearts, where there is peace and liberation. Where the law of the land is not written for and by corporations, where instead the law of the land is written on a parchment of kindness with a pen full of love. My background is in sociology. I have a bachelor's of sociology, and I've completed some graduate level work specifically in sociology. And though I have a degree in strategic human resources and organizational development, I practice human resources and organizational development through the lens of a clinical sociologist, what some people call a sociological practitioner. But anyway, in sociology, the group in which a child is raised is called the primary group. The primary group has a major influence over the child because it's often the first means by which children are socialized around all types of beliefs. Whatever a child is socialized in their primary group is pretty tough to break as an adult. Tough, but possible, of course. So mothers have an advantage here. As a mother myself to a 6 and 8-year-old, I make the most out of this advantage. Spiritually, I feel being a mother is about creation, facilitating the circle of life, and being a good steward to the life forces that we've been blessed with. We're blessed with caretaking and developing them, kind of like a garden. And I take advantage, or try my best to take advantage of that influence that I have on my children's lives, doing all that I can to expose them to what I think will help them to grow up to be compassionate, kind advocates and stewards. I do my best to have them attend family worship on Saturdays at 4 p.m. We read books about speaking up and being kind to others. The other day, my daughter, who's 8, she asked me if I would be sad if I didn't have children. You know, if I didn't have her and her brother, would I cry? And I said, no. If I didn't have you and Onyx, I would find something else meaningful to do with my time. My daughter seemed a little surprised by my response, so I told her that not everyone has children. Children don't make your life better or worse, just different. And I reassured her that I loved her, and I made a point just to be clear that you can make the best out of the cards that you're dealt and out of the blessings that you've been given. My life does not revolve around my children. My children revolve around me. I am the force that pulls my children toward me and toward each other. Gravity works like this. The closer objects are to each other, the stronger their gravitational pull is. So I do my best to have a strong, loving relationship with my children. As their mother, I need and want there to be a strong gravitational pull, so to speak. I am the earth and my children are my little precious moons. And, you know, over my dead body, will I allow my children to be taken from me by the world, to let them unlearn what I'm teaching them about charity, mercy, and patience, as this Mother's Day Proclamation claims. In my house, my children also learn stewardship, advocacy, and how to use their little truths once they find it. We make a big deal about loose teeth in my house. We believe in the tooth fairy. We go out for ice cream and some special place when a tooth is lost. The point of making it such a big deal is that losing teeth are uncomfortable and it hurts, it bleeds, but it's still something to be excited about because it means that we're growing, and to grow is to be celebrated. My children learn to perceive that discomfort of a loose tooth as a part of their journey worth celebrating. There will also be other uncomfortable journeys in their life as they become adults, and I hope that they will perceive those journeys in celebration for the growth that will accompany it, and not just wallow and focus on the pain and tears and a little blood of losing a tooth. In my house, we also make a big deal about not being a bully. My children told me that they and some of the other kids in their little martial arts class that they have a couple times a week, that during their break, those kids were throwing sticks at geese. I sat down with my children and we watched some YouTube videos of geese attacking people. They learned how lucky they were not to have been attacked during that incident that they told me about. The next time my kids saw the geese, they spoke up and they kept the other children from bothering them. My children were proud when they explained to me that the next time the geese were around and their friends wanted to attack them with sticks, that they told their friends, stop being a bully to the geese. The geese might hurt you if you throw sticks at them again. I'm gonna go tell a grown-up if you bully the geese. And thereafter, the geese were no longer harassed. We also make a big deal in our house about helping those who are home insecure. Together, we put together food and hygiene packs for the home insecure in our community. And that's through an initiative that we have at Paint Branch with CCSI. So in my mind, I'm doing all of these things to help them to grow more empathetic, kind-hearted to those less fortunate, and to be an advocate and speak up. And this is my way of their mother and socializing them and just making the most that I can out of this primary group. When I think about Mother's Day, I think about the kids in my children's martial arts classes. There's this hour break in between their little classes where I often help out The other day, a little girl was crying because she couldn't find her glasses, and I helped her find them. There's always something to do, some child to mother. I mother my cats. I feed them and pet them. I take them to the vet. I make them feel loved. They love me back too. They leave me little mice and lizards and other small animals right where I can find them. They're very generous. And in the end of the circle of life, that which is my parents are in the cusp of my 78-year-old father and my 77-year-old mother, who my brothers and I recently moved to a senior living home. I now mother my mother. It's hard, uncomfortable, and yet I feel blessed to do it. I mother myself. When I speak out against hate, for me, I am mothering. Speaking out against hate to me is caretaking and developing the seeds of equity and justice for future generations. A mother never gives up. I think we should never give up on the possibility of peace on earth. I think we should never give up on mothering our children to be kind and compassionate adults who stand up to bullies and who are good stewards to the earth, to each other, and to themselves.
Couldn't stop rape culture, couldn't take back the night, but Gen X women survive through fight or flight. Glass ceilings above us, yeah, we knew Bush lied, but we didn't stop the war, honey. No, we barely even tried, but we raised the millennials. We let them play outside the closet, and we kept them safe. We stayed up late, learning new pronouns, new names. We raised the millennials. Yeah, we are the mothers of change. Mothers of the movement, mothers in the fight, wouldn't let their black sons disappear in the night. We'll say their names till it's made right, till the guns stop blasting, deadly power so wide. We raise the millennials. We let them play outside with nothing but our words to keep them safe. When the tanks came, we stood in their way. We raised the millennials. Yeah, we are the mothers of change. I heard Mother Steinem on the radio say she'd been waiting for her friends to be born. She'd been waiting for the millennials, and I cried 'cause she was right, and I cried 'cause she was wrong. We didn't run from the battlefield. silent plight. Though we came up in darkness, we raised up light, raised up water protectors, labored BLM and trans rights. We raised Emma, Greta, and AOC, mothers hidden from sight. We raised the millennials. We're raising Generation Z. Hey. Maybe we haven't changed much, honey, but honey, we can make this claim. We raised the millennials. Yeah, we are the mothers of change.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Kathy Bartolomeo, and I'm a pastoral care associate here at Paint Branch, along with Lynn Lewison and Jim Flaherty. Reverend Lynn Strauss is our interim minister who's available for talks with you. Our role is to offer presence and support to those in the congregation who may be going through some kind of difficulty. We are available to listen and support. Our contact information is in the chat. When we are able to gather live at church, the Pastoral Care Associates conducted joys and sorrows and collected cards from congregation during the intonation and read them afterwards. As we gather in community, we carry life's hurts and its great joys. And we think it's still helpful to provide an opportunity for attendings to share these joys and sorrows. So during this online service, I invite you to share your joys and sorrows in the chat, and I will lead a meditation after the intonation. For now, our intonation music is Mother, Is the Battle Over? By Benedict E. Roofs, a Civil War song played by David Chapman. Thank you, David. Now, let us take a few minutes to acknowledge all that's been shared, as well as those joys and sorrows that remain unshared and yet are on our minds. In this quiet time, may our hearts open to hope and healing. May our minds open to hope and possibility. May we hold all these in one another in love and kindness, so that this congregation may be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead.
Arise, all women who have hearts.
Whether your baptism be that of water or of tears.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies.
Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caresses and applause.
Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience.
We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country,
to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own.
It says, disarm,
Disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice.
Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war.
let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council.
Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
Each learning after their own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
In the name of womanhood and of humanity,
I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality
may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects.
To promote the alliance of the different nationalities.
The amicable settlements of international questions.
The great and general interest of peace.
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 I want to thank my colleague, Reverend Karen Johnson, for sharing that video from her congregation with us for this service. When Unitarian Juliet Ward Howe issued that Mothers Day Proclamation in 1870 from Boston, she envisioned a day of peace to honor and support mothers who had lost sons and husbands during the Civil War. She also called on mothers of all nations to join together to settle international questions and promote peace throughout the world. Until I entered seminary, I knew Julia Ward Howe simply as the author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But I've learned since that she was one of the best known women of her time. As we've heard, an abolitionist, feminist, essayist, lecturer, poet, and the mother of 6 children. She also nursed those who were wounded during the Civil War and tended to the widows and orphans of soldiers. Witnessing that war's widespread devastation, along with that of the Franco-Prussian War 10 years later, inspired this call for all women of the world to, quote, arise and oppose war wherever it occurred. Ebony mentioned her favorite passage in the proclamation. Mine is, quote, from the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession, end quote. Julia Ward Howe envisioned women of the world coming together to find peaceful resolutions to conflicts, and that one day there would be no more wars. She called on us to find common ground in what unites us rather than what divides us. Along with other Unitarian Universalists of her time, she worked to abolish slavery, give women the right to vote, and improve sanitary conditions for all as part of her faith. She chose to do this work in community with others. 2 years after issuing her proclamation, she called for an annual Mother's Day for Peace on June 2nd. While her efforts were unsuccessful, Mother's Day did become a national holiday in the early 1900s under the leadership of Anna Jarvis, whose mother had worked with Miss Howe during the Civil War. Today, Mother's Day has lost Julia Ward Howe's focus on working for justice. Yet this seems a good time to return this day to its roots and rededicate ourselves to rising up for peace and justice for all. Paint Branch has a rich history in working for peace and justice since its founding in 1954. I've learned that the civil rights movement called many Unitarian Universalists to help create a peaceful and free, fair world. Many UU ministers and lay leaders went to Selma in March 1965 in response to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's call. And two, as we know, tragically died. Reverend James Reeb and Viola Luzo became among the 1965 civil rights martyrs. Here at Paint Branch, I've learned, many members have joined sit-ins to desegregate restaurants during that time, and the maternity ward at Prince George's Hospital. Families also opened up their homes to Bowie State students, when the Maryland governor shut down the college because of student demonstrations. Others worked long hours in support of the Maryland Open Accommodations Law, providing information to the Washington Post that was used in an editorial and later lobbying efforts. More recently, in 2012, Paint Branch got behind the statewide campaign for marriage equality under the leadership of the Reverend Diane Teichert, now our Minister Emeritus. The congregation has long been active in working for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender rights. And Reverend Diane, newly arrived from Massachusetts, the first state to make gay marriage legal, refused to sign marriage licenses until everyone had the right to marry. It also didn't hurt that she had been a community organizer before becoming a minister. Paint Branch members lobbied state lawmakers, testified at hearings, called voters, and educated friends and family members on the need for this measure. After it passed the legislature and went to a public vote, they served as poll watchers. And when it passed, Maryland became the first state to win marriage equality at the polls. I was lucky enough to be here during that time as your interim religious educator. At the start of the campaign, I remember us all gathering to take a picture in the Paint Branch Meeting House Nearly the whole congregation was there behind a large marriage equality banner. And in January 2013, dancing at the wedding reception after the service Sunday when marriage equality law went into effect. Working for marriage equality was a collective chance to put our faith into action. We joined with LGBTQ activists and allies, state lawmakers, people of all faiths and goodwill, union workers, educators, Black leaders, and many others to bring more justice, more compassion, and more love into the world. What new opportunities will there be in the coming year for this congregation to work collectively for justice and partner with others beyond our walls? Where are we being called now to be the change we want to see in the community around Paint Branch and in the world? Part of the mission of UU congregations is to bring about justice, equity, and compassion beyond our walls into the communities and to help build the beloved community. One way some congregations are doing this is becoming involved in local faith-based community organizing. Some 100 UU congregations across the country are members of local congregation-based community organizing groups that are part of national networks. Earlier this year, some of us at Paint Branch participated in the founding convention of the Prince George's Leadership Action Network, known as PLAN. This is a broad-based, multi-faith, multiracial, nonpartisan community organizing group that includes 40 county congregations and unions. It is committed to training and developing neighborhood leaders to identify community issues, initiate public action on those issues, and hold elected and corporate officials accountable. It represents families from every section of the county, reflecting theological, racial, and ethnic and economic diversity. As your affiliated community minister, I'm honored to serve on Paint Branch's Plan leadership team, along with Carol Carter Walker, Kathy Bartolomeo, and Joan Griggs. We have been talking with Plan's leaders and attending membership meetings to learn more about the organization and how it might help Paint Branch in our work of bending the moral arc of the universe towards justice. Unlike some justice groups, Plan does not have a predetermined issue or set of issues that it focuses on. Instead, it engages in social action for social change based on input from the community. It focuses on building power by organizing people for long-term impact and to address systemic issues. Plan leaders have already held some 300 House meetings with members to hear what they rank as the county's top needs. These meetings are usually done in person, but they have been mostly virtual due to the pandemic. So far, affordable housing and quality education have come up. Plan will be continuing these listening sessions along with gathering information and doing research before deciding on an issue to focus on. Plan is affiliated with the Industrial Areas Foundation, the nation's largest and longest running network of local faith and community-based organizations. Created in 1940, IAF partners with local congregations and civic organizations in building broad-based community projects that create opportunities for leadership development, citizen-led actions, and ongoing relationships along lines that often divide our communities. Like Unitarian Universalism, community organizing is done in relationship with others. Some of the relational tools that IAF affiliates like Plan use include individual one-on-one meetings, power analysis, teaching and training, and always acting and evaluating what we're doing. These are done on an ongoing basis. Several Washington area Unitarian Universalist congregations are members of their local IAF affiliates in Maryland, the District, and Virginia. These include All Souls, First Unitarian in Baltimore, and congregations at Cedar Lane and River Road in Bethesda, and congregations in Arlington, Reston, Bull Run, and Acatee. These industrial area of foundation affiliates work with partners to create affordable housing, ensure equality and equity in education funding, provide health care for vulnerable populations, and so much more. During the pandemic, many of them have been focusing on coordinating regular delivery of meals, opposing evictions, and provided needed information and access to COVID resources. IAF's work is grounded in faith, democracy, relationships, leadership, and impact. Faith, rooted in the prophetic call of diverse religious traditions. Democracy, people working together have power to change their communities. Relationships, developing relationships in the community and building trust. Leadership, working with those who want to change the world from what it is to what we believe it should be. Congregations working with faith-based community organizing groups say it has helped deepen their involvement in social justice, connect them with their communities, train and develop congregational leaders, and work toward long-term systemic change. Faith-based community organizing can also help us better understand the place of power in our work. As the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, quote, "There's nothing wrong with power if power is used correctly. The problem is that concepts of love and power are usually seen as opposites, but power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic," end quote. Today, may we remember Julia Ward Howe's Mothers Day Proclamation with its call to work together for justice and peace. And may we rededicate ourselves to working for justice and freedom for ourselves and for each other. For if you are not free, then I cannot be free. May it be so, and amen.
Thank you, Reverend Scrivo. The mission of this church carries on in these uncertain times and is more important than ever. We are so grateful to have the financial support of our members and friends. Please give as generously as you are able. The information for giving to Paint Branch will be posted in the chat window. This information can also be found in the online order of service. Our offertory music will be Workin' for the Dawn of Peace, Civil War Song, arranged by Ron Jeffers, performed by our music director, David Chapman.
Thank you, David, for the wonderful music, so timely. And thank all of the worship team for this wonderful worship. It truly takes a village these days to put worship together. And I'm always grateful because it always turns out much better than I would have done on my own. So yay team. Our closing words come from Andrea Hawkins Camper. It's called Be About the Work. May we see all as it is. May it be all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. If not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do. This is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge. To be the living embodiment of our principles. To be about the work of building the beloved community. To be a people of intention and a people of conscience. May it be so. And if you will join now, in Spirit of Life, the words will be on the screen. Please remain muted, though, as you sing along.
Thank you, David. We've come to the end of our worship in our Mother Church here on Mother's Day, and I will now extinguish the chalice.
Thank you, Jackie.